this episode is the furthest, no further. Hey, that's a Picard thing.
Wait, you did a thing.
I did a thing.
You did a thing. Do you have any idea what that's from?
I have no fucking clue.
Captain's Pod, Stardate 612262.1. Welcome aboard the Starship Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leave from the world of CinemaSins to explore the universe of Star Trek. I am your Captain Ian Whittington, and with me as always, she once drew a smiley face in the exhaust cloud of a warp core breach. It's Ambassador Deneé.
Well, to be fair, it started with drawing the penis. and then I realized it was inappropriate, so I just made it one big eyeball, and then it was a huge smiley face.
What did the shaft become?
It was just like I just blurted out. It just, I just erased it essentially.
Why wouldn't you turn that into the tongue?
Oh, man.
You could have made like the nose,
right,
and then tongue,
right,
and then eyes above it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I do with most of the cocks that I draw.
You draw a lot of fucking dicks. That's what you do.
What did I draw a dick on? You're
everything.
really annoyed
You've
at me.
drawn a dick on everything. There's moments whenever, when you were in my office, you just grab a piece of paper.
This is an official document.
and you're like, can I have a pen? Sure. And I hand a pen to you. And I look over and you're just very intensely doing something. And I all of a sudden, now I know. Now I know the
Dicks.
face that you make whenever you're doing something shenanigans-y.
Just a kind of half grin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You turn away from me and you just start, and I can feel your smirk in the atmosphere.
Damn it, Ian, why are you chuckling so much?
That is Iris's drawing book. Quit it.
Oh, that is my daughter's birth certificate. Stop it. Yeah, but dicks.
Oh my God.
Amazing. Well, that episode we actually watched, that was in Genesis. No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
not.
What segue are you going off of here?
No, they're drawing the smiley face in the cloud. It's not in Genesis. It's in. Did we watch Timescape with so the Enterprise and the Romulan ship are frozen in space, and there's like time pockets everywhere, and they have to go onto the ship, and everyone's frozen in place, and they have like the bands around the bands around their arms that give them a little pocket of environment so that they can walk around the ship.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
The one that we did watch one with the Romulans, but that was where Picard, they were in some sort of time warp situation, and they couldn't break out of it, and they sent the information to the Romulan ship so that they could break out of it.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm talking about.
I don't remember the armbands.
But he draws the warp core's exploded, and he draws a smiley face in the cloud, and that's how they know he's gone insane.
I don't remember that part, and I feel like I would. I feel like I would. So there was another episode though where they think that the Romulan ship is going to fire on them.
Contagion.
Yes, I watched Contagion
with the
de-evolution, right? Was that de-evolution?
No, that's Genesis.
God damn it! Which one was Contagion? What was
right? Contagion is the one with the Iconians, and they have the gateway that they can walk through.
Yes,
and
that's the one.
Picard has to walk through, ends up on the Romulan ship, and Riker's like, should it become necessary to fight the Romulans, could somebody please arrange me some sticks to throw at them? Because the shields keep going up and down. That's the one. Genesis is the one where they de-evolve, and they come back to the ship, and everyone is like, Riker's a Neanderthal, Worf is a monster,
is terrifying.
Barclay is a spider, and Deanna is a fish. And
a frog.
Beverly's just dead.
Beverly, yeah. And Spot is an iguana.
Spot is an iguana. Right, none of which are the episodes we're talking about today.
Yes, let's stay focused. Let's stay focused.
We're doing a show. So, today we are continuing our theme and continuing our data back catalogue storying with Ship in a Bottle, Season 6, Episode 12. Another one of, I keep saying they're in my top 10. All of these episodes are in my top 10 when I watch them because I love them so much. So, Ship in a Bottle, no other instincts. What do you think is happening in this week's episode based on the title?
What do you think is happening?
Ship in a Bottle.
Ship in a bottle. Ship in a bottle. Ship in a bottle. Well, I think they're going to be trapped because the ship in a bottle can't go anywhere. So, so they're going to be stuck somewhere, and they're going to have to figure out how to move outside of it. That's the only real prediction I know. Also, there might be a captain involved.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm going to confidently say you are correct on all fronts. Well done.
Do you want me to get
we don't really need to do the episode
oddly
now.
Specific? Like, do you want me to try to use my powers?
Yeah, give me one oddly specific thing. We should do this every week.
Okay, hold on.
Manifest.
Shush.
Sorry. I'm going to cover my face because I don't want to give away if it's right or not.
No, you should tell me. You should tell me if I'm right.
Okay. I'll poke face. See if you can guess.
Okay. So, I don't know the names of them, but I'm going to say Jeffrey's tube. They're not.
Yeah, Jeffrey's tubes.
They're not the ones that run lateral all the time. Sometimes they run up and down as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
So
of that network is Jeffrey's tubes.
Someone's trying to get through a Jeffrey's tube in this episode. Like Ian,
I'm
just
playing through the episode.
For the podcast listeners at home that don't get to see Ian has tilted his head almost all the way to the left.
This is my playback stance.
he's got his playback face on. His eyes are up onto the ceiling, and he's just scanning his brain. And he's got this little smile, this little Star Trek smile on his face as he's replaying this entire episode.
I don't think so.
God damn it!
This would have been a good episode for that to happen, though.
I know.
Yeah, and that's a good like kind of psychic prediction because it has the chance of being specific, but it happens a lot. So you could look like an absolute genius just because it's something that happens.
Okay,
a lot.
Well, here's what my imagination saw. So I saw a ship, and then I was seeing the starship sort of overlaid with the old ships on the sea, and there was a rope that was going from somewhere up above down the Jeffrey's tube, and someone slid down the rope in the Jeffrey's tube, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe they go down there. That's what I saw in my imagination.
That's beautiful. I want to see more rope on the Enterprise.
I didn't say the rope because I thought that maybe there was something, but maybe there is a rope in here. I don't know. We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. With that, let's head to the holodeck, and we will see you in 10 forward. To the beam out. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator, not a crumpet, and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first, what would you like, Ambassador? You can't order an entire another ship.
I'd like a holodeck, please.
Yeah, you want a holodeck. I want a new star to be born out of two gas giants.
On a replicator?
Yes, just like a mini version. It's in like a loop, and they just collide, make a sun, then turn back into two planets, collide, make a sun. It's on a loop.
I feel like we just need to go back a bit. You know, we need to kind of like circle back a little bit. We started off with just a simple drink, a beverage out of a replicator, and now we're asking for stars to be born and entire holodecks to be created.
Stars.
I think we need to have some restrictions, is what I'm saying.
You're saying we need to go back to our roots. We've gone too far.
Too far. This episode is the furthest, no further. Hey, that's a Picard thing.
Wait, you did a thing.
I did a thing.
You did a thing. Do you have any idea what that's from?
I have no fucking clue, but I just all of a sudden I just felt so Picard, proud. You know, like looking over me. No
Let the
further.
Picard flow through you. This far, no further.
That's right.
Oh my god, you will lose. I'm not going to tell you when that happens. You'll just lose your shit when the speech happens and it ends with that. You're like, fuck yeah, get it, Picard. It's so good. Oh, so good. Right, okay. This week, my goodness, people, we're doing season 6, episode 12, Ship in a Bottle.
Did you just say shit in a bottle?
Yeah, shit in a bottle.
Cool.
I'm amazed it got past the censors in 1993. Star Trek TNG, shit in a bottle. No, this is the opposite of shit in a bottle. This is one of the most fantastic things in a bottle that I have ever watched. The crew of the Enterprise is put at risk when an old friend reappears on the holodeck when Barclay accidentally reawakens the hologram.
We awake. 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 We awake.
Moriarty, in the form of Moriarty. Shenanigans ensue when Moriarty takes control of the ship and threatens to allow the ship to be pulled into the wake of a forming star should they not bring his lady friend, the Countess, into the real world, as he has done for himself. Ambassador, thoughts and feelings on this episode, he says, having watched the episode with you and knowing your thoughts and feelings already.
I don't think I've gushed about an episode during the watching of the episode quite like this one. I don't know how is that accurate, do you think? Because we've watched all these together.
100%. Totally. I was giddy from moment one when he steps off the holodeck. Before that, you saw the thumbnail and it had Moriarty in it.
I wasn't sure.
Is that fucking Moriarty?
Yeah. I wasn't sure.
We'll see. Then he steps off the holodeck, you lose it.
I lost my shit.
The reveals happen, you lose it. So we'll put all of that in the outtakes after the show. You'll have clips of Deneé just losing her shit during. But you loved this so much. It made me so happy.
Yeah.
What a great episode.
This is a really fun episode. I didn't understand what I was in for, and then as it started to reveal itself, and then it still surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
Picard and Moriarty together talking is just delightful. So yeah, This episode had just about everything that I would want an episode of Star Trek to have, and I was really excited to watch it. Those are my general thoughts and feelings.
I think it's one of the most rewatchable episodes. Like you could rewatch this right now and watch it differently because the reveals change how you watch it the first time round. Because I could see Deneé making notes, and I'm just like, you're gonna want to ease up on that because I guarantee
I had questions. I was like, how?
Wait a minute.
How is this working? Yeah. This is one of those episodes, and this happens a lot. In shows where as you're watching it and your sin brain kicks off, you end up by the end of the movie or the episode having to go back and completely just delete sins or try to figure out a different way to go about the sin of that moment based on new knowledge. Ian, you've actually recently experienced something pretty complicated with a Rick and Morty episode where you created a time travel video because the episode itself was so complicated and undoing your sins as you went that you had to find a clever way to keep them in and keep your point to a certain degree. And so he came up with this time travel sort of moment. And if you haven't watched that episode yet, please do. It's really, really brilliant. There's a little portal that pops up, and then future Aaron travels back in time to past Aaron to try to figure out how to sin this particular complex thing that Rick and Morty did. It was a brilliant episode of Rick and Morty. We really enjoyed that. This had that same vibe, didn't it? Where until you see the very, very end, you really don't know what you're watching. And I love being surprised. Shows and movies that are textbook cliches that just do the bare minimum. They're on life support as far as writing is concerned. It's just the monotonous tone, beep, beep, of I hate it so much. So to be delighted is really exciting. So I really, really love this episode.
It's season 6. This is the back end of TNG, and you could criticize it for pulling on an old episode to do a callback or something, but this is better than part 1 for me. This is one of the best episodes of TNG because it combines two things. It does Trapped in a Holodeck, and then it does the callback to another season, and is really, you're leaning on two pretty tired things that have been done a lot already. And it makes the best Trapped in a Holodeck episode I've ever watched. It's my favorite. And it's the best callback to another episode for me. It's so clever.
Well, it's a great character too. Moriarty and the actor and everything. We talked about this last time. Is so good. And so seeing, I don't want to we're breaking it down into its pieces a little bit too early, but that scene of Captain Picard talking to Moriarty in 10 Forward. I got chills a couple times,
right?
And it's not because I'm not feeling well, It's not a fever.
It's not a fever that's going up and down.
No, this one came from the good parts, not the bad parts.
I made this note that it's not a long Picard speech, but it's one of my favorites when he's just talking about, think about what you're asking us to do, Moriarty. So he's pleading that he's proved that he's a physical being, he's walked off the holodeck, and now he doesn't want to experience life alone. He wants his partner. He wants his companion, the Countess Bartholomew, to join him. And he's pleading with Picard to say, I'm alive, I'm real. Let's do the same for the Countess. Let's say the same line to the computer and make me a companion. And Picard is just I understand, but we didn't mean to create
Now
you.
we have an ethical situation. Now
exactly. And you want me to deliberately do it again, what we once did as an accident. And just his, the energy he puts behind, just the moral implications are staggering. Just only Patrick Stewart can deliver a line like that. But
put that right against Moriarty, who comes right back with his own really well thought Like, I don't know. It was just such a, I couldn't even find,
plea.
Yes. Yeah. And I also love that it's like old English, because Moriarty is this character from, material that was written so long ago. So you've got this character that was accidentally brought to life inside the holodeck. And so the verbiage that he is using to describe everything that he's seeing on this starship.
I recognize policemen in any century.
It's just so fascinating. And then to discover that he's faking his surprise the entire time because he already knows he's on a starship. It just, everything elevates after the reveal that Picard and Data and sidekick Barclay have been trapped in the holodeck the entire episode. And we're tricked as an audience thinking that there's these solutions happening. It was brilliant work.
It's beautiful.
It's written well. It's designed well. And it wasn't too much. At no point was it like, okay, I'm kind of tired of hearing, the techno babble. Like there was one moment where I was like, and now we enter the techno babble portion of the program,
My note was, I'm not kidding, I love the transporter techno babble in this episode because you've got Barclay, holographic Geordie, and Data talking about the transporters work like this, so this could work, but I don't see how. I love them problem solving together, and I think I think they had the perfect amount of time on it in this episode.
Yeah. It was a delight to watch. I'm really like, as a person who, not knowing what I was about to see, this one in particular, it feels like you were building to it. It feels like the last 3 episodes of this podcast, where we're doing like this character study on Data, essentially, has kind of been building to almost this episode, which wasn't really a Data episode. It kind of was.
No, not so much.
But and maybe that's kind of why I liked it. I was expecting another Data episode, and Data was certainly important in this one. He figures out the problem from the very beginning and everything. But this was this was more of that like 1-2 punch of the 2-parter, even though technically it wasn't a 2-parter. I think that this episode could possibly even stand alone if you never saw part 1, because they do just enough explanation that an intelligent person watching is going to go, oh, this is a holodeck thing that was created. And everyone who watches Star Trek, the moment that holodeck character steps off of the holodeck into the ship, which is never supposed to happen, they would be like, what the absolute fuck? Who is this? And if you never go back and see episode previous, by the end of this particular one, the ship in a bottle, you realize that he didn't actually, leave the holodeck. It was all a ruse. So he was tricking Picard, and he was tricking them from the very, very beginning. All he needed was them to set in his trap, and he just set this beautiful little trap for them to try to figure out how to get him off of the holodeck for real. Oh God, this episode's so fucking good. It's so good. There are
so many layers to this, because
it's so good.
The second they walk onto the holodeck, the amount of things that he has to do. So the first thing is the book that Picard throws off of the holodeck.
Yeah.
He has to make sure that book acts like a hologram inside the holodeck, even though it's being thrown into a holographic corridor. Their comm badges are immediately tied in. And the whole part of the plan is to trick them into, there could be an argument that he doesn't care about the Countess. He's tricking them into working on how to get the Countess into the real world so that he can relay that information into the actual real world to get him and the Countess into the real world.
It's so good.
It's so clever. And it's all because he doesn't trust them. He could have bargained with Picard and Riker and said, I need you to work on this problem.
I don't want to be stuck in the holodeck anymore, guys. I want to be free.
But he's already tried that, and they just put him in archive for however long. So not only does he come up with a plan on how to do that, but he has to get them over his knees somehow. So how do I trick Picard into giving me his command code as well? Well, I need to make him think that I've already got control of the ship so that he tries to unlock it.
That's another really fun moment.
When all the dominoes fall.
There's this moment in this episode between Data and Picard. So Data figures out that they've been in a holodeck the entire time, and he's talking to Picard, and he's like, listen, we're speaking to Geordie, but that's not really Geordie. This is a holodeck.
Blank-eyed Geordie.
Yeah.
He's completely blank.
Yeah, this is a different Geordie. And so Picard's like, dismiss Geordie, and so the fake Geordie walks away, and the real Picard turns to real Data inside the holodeck the whole time and says, I've just given the computer my override codes. And Data just says super straight. He's like, well, how did he word it?
You may have inadvertently given Moriarty control of the Enterprise. Picard's
the whole ship.
I fucked up. Oh no! That the way that's delivered, it could have been really, really dramatic. But,
no,
like Picard's just like, I may have just. Oops!
I just gave Moriarty the command of the entire ship, didn't I? And Data's like, yes, you did. Yes,
a big boo.
That's exactly what you done.
So the timing on that is so good.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So this hits like this like there's this humor that's with it. There's mystery. There's something unexpected. Barclay is really delightful to watch. Of course, I've already gushed about Picard and Moriarty, but then we also have this new character, the Countess, who is just a delight to me.
Oh my goodness, she is incredible. Stephanie Beecham, who, from what I can see on IMDb, did not get enough of a career. She did a lot of TV shows. Sounds like she was big in Dynasty, but just didn't propel or take off. And there's loads of reasons for that. Maybe that was her choice. But she is incredible in this episode. She is so captivating.
Oh, she was captivating.
You know that Picard is going back to the holodeck for some funky time with a holographic recreation of the Countess.
No, he's not that way, is he? Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, he
Come
is.
on.
Yeah.
Everyone is. Everybody is.
Okay, you're right. There was they had like a little bit of a like he definitely was trying to charm her, but she was super witty and intelligent, and
I can see that you are a woman of sagacity and guile and good breeding. But that's the way he's talking to somebody in the 1800s.
He did, yes.
He's very clever to adapt himself to that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I also so enjoyed kind of the way that Moriarty inside the trap reveals to his little mice and his little game that she's real. So, you know,
Barclay's just like,
Barclay's like, you know that you're on a starship? And she's like, of course I do. I've been told everything. And it was just this delightful thing where at that moment I did not know that we were in a trap. So I was like, wow. So Moriarty is super, super powerful. He's brought he brought the arch out. He said the magical words. There's a brand new life form that's been created, and Barclay is the representation of that person who's trying to get their job done, but also completely mind blown in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
You know, he was
and that's
grinning.
Him all over. Barclay is so great at delivering that. Dwight Schultz is so great at doing Barclay. And he's so like, I knew Dwight Schultz from the A-Team. He plays Mad Dog in it. And he's just like, he's unhinged in the A-Team. So to see him as this really nervous,
like a nerdy sort
person it's so great. And he has a great arc in Voyager as well. Love Dwight Schultz. So
it's a really perfect balance in this episode because you have some really strong leads. You've got Moriarty, a strong lead, and you've got the Countess, a strong lead, and you've got obviously Picard, the strong lead. So if you had Barclay being that over-the-top sort of engineer character that's not sort of muted or meek, I don't think it would have felt the same because he was confident in what he was doing, but in a like timid way. And I really like the way he plays this character a lot. And this is, I think, my first time to really have an episode with Barclay at the forefront.
When he's not a spider.
Oh yeah, he turned into
when
the
he's
spider.
Not devolved into like,
I totally forgot about that.
It scared the crap out of Picard. I totally agree. We could do an entire arc of Barclay episode. There's not that many of them.
Yeah, like a little series, a little character study on Barclay.
The reason I loved him growing up,
I thought it was Barclay, but it's Barclay.
Barclay,
okay.
Yeah, but Lieutenant Barclay.
Okay.
Reg.
Reg. I wrote that down. I'm like, when are we just going by Reg? What are we?
Right, Reg.
Just are we going Jord for Geordie now?
Reggie, like Geordie? Hey, Jord. Da. But
no.
No. Growing up, he was always one of my favorites because I was always aware that Star Trek had this sheen of, especially TNG, had the sheen of being perfect. So all of the crew members are top of their game. They're the best of the best. Reginald Barclay comes in and he just has not got his shit together at any point. But he knows what he's on about. He just hasn't got the confidence to deliver it. So it just showed me that there was a place on the flagship for people that weren't great public speakers and weren't necessarily great leaders, but they're specialists in their field. They're good at what they do. And there's room for them on the bridge and in a big position. So, yeah, I always loved him for that.
There was an episode recently where Beverly took over command of the ship when it was the episode where the part 2 of, I think, Data Lore. No, I think maybe it was actually the Data Lore thing where there was the Borg and Hugh showed
Descent.
up. Okay, Descent. Okay. So in that episode, the person, I can't remember her name. She came onto the bridge with Beverly and ended up like having magically studied the sun. Do you remember that character?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tate. Was she in this episode? Because there was a moment on when engineering was saying, we're going to be observing this 2 planets merging together, and I want to have like a triple something run
triple
on all of our...
redundancy on the scanners. Yeah.
Listen, triple redundancy sounds horrible, by the way. Like, God,
You're
that gave me
thinking of a
cringe.
triple bypass.
No, just the being redundant is already annoying, but then triple redundancy just sounds like a fucking nightmare.
You are triply redundant. Yeah.
God damn. Okay, so there's like this little team assembled, and he specifies that there's multiple engineers in charge in that moment, and one of them looked like Tate to me. And it was just like this real quick moment where I looked at her and I was like, is that Tate? Because she was sort of...
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's a possibility that it's the same actor, but Tate wouldn't be on the ship yet because she'd only been on the ship for 6 weeks. So this is way too early.
Okay.
This is before Descent. Yeah.
We're watching things out of order.
This is probably
Okay.
6 months before Descent happens.
Oh, if only I was paying attention to what seasons we were in, but instead I'm just watching this to watch this. That's okay.
Just watching it and enjoying it. How dare you? The last beautiful thing about there's many beautiful things about Barclay, but the last thing for this episode is just how he meets Moriarty, just accidentally turns him back on, and he's just like, you know what you are.
You're not supposed to be here.
You shouldn't know that. You know who the captain is. And Moriarty's just like, yeah, can we move along? Like, keep up, my friend. It's just a great way to give us a little brief primer on what happened in the previous episode. Because it had been 4 years. Like, one of the great reasons they don't do a lot of callbacks is because this is 4 years between episodes. We don't really have VHS or VHS players. We definitely didn't have DVD. You might have been lucky to catch it on a rerun, but there's no guarantee that you've seen this episode any kind of recently. So the fact that they pull this off is genius.
Yeah. There's exposition is always something that we sin, as we're watching shows.
Oh yeah.
But I felt like even if we decided to send the exposition because that's kind of one of our textbook things that we do, I didn't feel like this was over the top exposition. It wasn't a really annoying thing.
It really wasn't.
It's context that we kind of need, especially because it's not part 1, part 2. If it's a part 1, part 2, and they run a previously on, those are really, really annoying because it's like, well, we just saw that.
Yeah, we get it. We're on a series. This is a season-long arc. I don't need that.
But this seems to be an unexpected moment when they bring back a character and give it an end without telling you that it's a part 2, which is I love that they did that. I love that. It's so brave.
It is a beautiful, beautiful ending. Like, what a great resolution that they get. Like, Moriarty is never going to be satisfied until he can leave the holodeck. There's a good chance that is just impossible. It cannot happen. So give him exactly what he wants and give him an endless supply of programming. Now that they know that he's conscious, and that is a terrifying thought that during the 4 years, he's had blips of consciousness, and Picard's just like, that's really worrying to me. I am so sorry. Did not know that was going to be a thing, that you were going to be in the void for 4 years, like just limbless
pulled
and
apart, just existing in many parts.
Always remember growing up, that terrified me. That line when he says brief terrifying moments of consciousness disembodied. I was like, oh no, Moriarty, I'm so sorry. That sucks.
I do have
it's
sins.
It's a beautiful, non-violent resolution.
It is, but I think it's sinful. And can I just say, to transition into the sins, if it's okay with you, unless you had something else major?
I do have a couple other things. I'm so sorry.
I'm just kidding.
I love, overall, one of the reasons that Moriarty is such a great bad guy is his motivations are believable. His motivation is to live and to exist, and in this episode, to have his partner. He has no trust that the crew isn't just going to put him in the archives for 4 years, because there's no priority on making this real. So he has to go to extreme lengths, but he just wants to exist. And at the end of it, there's no double cross. There's no, haha, you're all going to get blown up anyway. He just goes off into the sunset and goes on an adventure with his partner. Like, I this is why he's such a great bad guy to relate to. Yeah, he's doing bad stuff, but I totally fucking get why.
Yeah, he doesn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him.
I would probably be doing the same.
Good. Yeah.
It's just great bad guy storytelling. I absolutely love it.
It's motivation you can believe and you can relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was earlier on in the episode, but I remember the moment when Moriarty steps off of the holodeck. The first time I watched it, I was under the age of 10, and I understood how bonkers that was. And every time I watched it, it still shocked me. Even though I know what's happening, I am there with the characters. Because he's just like, I think, therefore I am.
It was so good.
He knows he's on the holodeck.
He knows he's just bullshitting.
As if he's just, like, become real. Like, he sells it to everyone, including the audience. It is such a well-written, well-panned out episode. It's so good. This is a more understandable version of Inception. Like, I would watch this before watching the movie Inception, just as a primer understand how many like layers there are in this. It's so clever, and I never felt lost.
No, I didn't either. It was super fun to be shocked. And when you watch it knowing that it is a twist, which I will do again someday, I'm sure it'll be exhilarating, but there is nothing that beats the first time that you watch this episode. You're just like, holy fuck, what's going on? And
he's got off the holodeck. What's going on? And it's so good. So this is something I genuinely only noticed on this watch through of the episode. TNG realizes it's a TV show. So at the very, very end, Picard says, or Barclay is like, well, they'll just have their own program. And Picard says, well, who knows? Maybe we're just a program running on someone else's desk.
That was like, so fucking cool.
Oh shit, is he looking at me? Is he looking directly at me?
Don't break the fourth wall.
Because we're watching him on our desk. Like, that is the only time I remember Star Trek breaking the fourth wall. Everyone correct me if I'm wrong.
But it's not looking directly into camera. He didn't do the thing.
It's not.
It's just a wink and a nod. Yeah.
It's beautiful that the characters are pondering the fact that they might not be real, knowing that,
I don't know.
It's so good.
I think this might be my favorite episode so far.
That was my prediction. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
it's beautifully
really loved
made.
It. Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
But can we get to the Sins now?
One sec. Barclay's final computer end program is something I still do to this day. If I'm alone somewhere, something weird happens, I'm like, computer end program? Like, just in case this is a simulation and there's a glitch. It's so, my dad will do it if there's like a coincidence.
All right, we're just going to take like a quick, we're not going to take the full break, but we'll just start the little countdown. Everybody just please take a moment and just check in with your reality. Are we all still here?
Oh, I'm not. I left. I've been replaced with a simulation. We were already in a holodeck. Last final positive thing.
Oh my god!
The beautiful backdrop of the two gas giants that are coming together. I love that. It's beautiful. It's lovely. Okay, battle stations, everyone.
No, I'm not done. God damn it! I'm trying to talk.
Warning: warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that we could be in a holodeck, and that no TV show is without sin. Ambassador, I'm not kidding. I genuinely have so few for this. You'd better go first. I don't have much to talk about. I love this episode.
Well, like we talked about, this episode's confusing because the things that you have questions about undo themselves. So as I go through my sins, I'm pretty sure they're just going to be like disintegrating in front of me.
You'll have one at the end.
Just like a book being thrown out of the holodeck. It's just going to completely fall apart. But I do think that there's part of me that can't let go, and I'm going to think about it for a while. Again, we just watched the episode and we immediately record. I really don't have a lot of time to process. But I really feel like Moriarty would figure out he's in a simulation. I think that there is a moment that...
Oh, you mean before he gets in the shuttlecraft?
I think... So there's something about just the desire to have a solution. It happened so quickly. I feel like Moriarty would have been really, really sure somehow. And
have some fail safes in place.
Having complete control of the entire ship, it seems like it would be a really quick check-in to say, where am I? Just to say, and the computer would tell him that he was still on a holodeck. I feel like instead of just believing these people that he already is suspicious of, I think he probably would have had a couple more questions before just jumping on a shuttlecraft and flying away. However, I know sometimes you just want to believe so badly and you're happy that you're kind of willing to just ignore some red flags. So, but and maybe he's happy. Maybe this is just what he wants, is to exist outside of the limitations of where he is. But the creativity of I guess for those of you that haven't watched this, Picard creates a holodeck inside of the fake holodeck, essentially. And so when he traps Moriarty inside that holodeck, when the show ends, they take out the little computer program from the ship and they stick it into a big battery. And Moriarty lives inside of this computer piece now. And it's running the simulations of him and his love exploring the world, exploring space, exploring different planets as much as they possibly know how to do. And I just don't believe, I guess part of me doesn't believe, that he is not going to either have been able to question it before he got onto the shuttlecraft, the fake shuttlecraft, and go out into fake space. Delete. Yeah. That, and I feel like at some point he is going to figure out that he is still in a simulation, although now, technically in the real world, he exists in a big battery pack. And I just want there to be an episode of Star Trek at some point that brings back Moriarty, having realized. Now, I know we don't have the same probably actor that can do it because of he wouldn't be aging. And obviously the real actor's age. And I really wouldn't want to see anyone else play this character. And what a great send off to this character. So maybe an animated series or something that would try to give this some life. Maybe
Lower Decks does
Lower
it.
Decks
you
does
know
it.
Lower Decks would do that shit.
You know they would do it.
I've thought exactly the same thing, that Moriarty, this shouldn't be the end of Moriarty. Like, he should figure this shit out and be fucking furious. Like, although it's indistinguishable from reality, he would not like to be tricked. He's so intelligent that our definition of what's real and what is fake is so up for debate. But he would feel cheated. He would feel so screwed out of a real adventure. And I think he would hit a brick wall, or the way that the people were acting wouldn't be consistent, or he'd find repeated storylines at some point. He would start sinning his own life.
There is a limitation to holodeck.
He figured it out.
Yeah, I do too.
Holodecks have limitations. That would happen. I've always thought that. Okay. Yeah, I totally agree.
And I feel like there's a sin there somehow. But you know what? TNG consistently does this thing where in the last 5 minutes of the show, it's just accept it and end it. It's accept and end, accept and end. And they really just clip by really quickly with, guys, just believe what we're saying and we're ending the show and here's the happy note. And I don't mind that to a certain degree. But with Moriarty, I love that they gave him a happy ending, and it's kind of like, now they can live happily ever after exploring space. And that's fine. I think it's a fine way to end it. But I feel like somehow that battery pack, first of all, should be in Picard's storage unit in the show Picard.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, that should have been on a shelf somewhere.
100%. That, or it needs to be in a high security space. And when in the room on Lower Decks that has all of all the little robot guys, one of them should
teams
be
up with Moriarty.
100%. That needs to happen. Moriarty needs to interface with the next computer system and then overtake some of these. I don't know.
Oh, beautiful!
It doesn't need to end anyway. So that's probably one. No,
I totally agree.
My only big sin, really, honestly.
I could argue it either way, because love can make you do some silly things. It can make you act rashly. It can make you act with a false confidence. Combine that with the time limit of, Riker is saying, we have 25 minutes left until the ship has blown up. All of the parameters are there for Moriarty to want to believe. He gets exactly what he wants. And maybe given more time, he would have questioned it, because the technology just suddenly happening to work, even like Moriarty, I would be, well, if you figured this out in an hour, how the fuck were you saying it was going to take years? This should have been harder, I agree, but a time limit compared to this golden platter of shit that he exactly wants, and it all working and happening and being self-confident, and he's like Holmes, he's arrogant. So he is so convinced that he has this all tied up in a neat bow.
Yeah.
I buy it. but I don't buy the longevity of it. I'm with you. He would eventually figure it out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, that's torture. My biggest sin, and I'm sure there's an explanation somewhere for it, is the perfection of Moriarty's simulation. He doesn't just recreate the Enterprise, he populates it. He has people going about their jobs. Riker, Worf, all of the people he hasn't interacted with, and only has, like, computer biographies, I guess, and a template. He recreates, like, I get the internal of the ship would be easy to recreate, that's fine. But the people populating it would be strange. Like, he has to know, like, the duty shifts have to line up. Especially, you've got to trick Data, who should know, in theory, where everyone is or where everyone should be at any point on the ship, with shift rotations, who's doing what duties. Like, I would have loved it if Data bumped into somebody and was just like, they left the ship a week ago.
Yeah.
Why are they still here? It should have, the reality should have crumbled down, maybe not for Picard, but probably for Picard, but definitely for Data. It shouldn't have taken the transporter log, plus Geordi being left-handed, to figure this out. It should have been, man, that the detail that he managed to pull off is staggering.
I feel like that could be explained with a simple line, something like, he's been observing us the whole time. You know, something.
Holy shit. That would have been beautiful.
Because Moriarty specifically is who I'm talking about when I say he.
Yes.
Moriarty is interfaced with the computer system, and even though they've stopped the simulation, if he's figured out a way to be kind of running on the background and just like observing a little bit at a time, because that is a huge sin. How did he know the different people who worked there to make it familiar, their rotations, all that stuff, like you mentioned? That definitely is a sin. If they had put that line in, it could have been explained, but they didn't do that.
I guess he could have pulled it from the computer logs and
quickly too, because he's a computer program.
Well, exactly, but he doesn't have access to that stuff until he has Picard's.
But he's online. He took over the ship in the first episode, so he is part of the ship.
He shouldn't have needed Picard's access codes.
Something happened
anyway,
there.
Really, because he's already managed to tie in Data, Picard, and Barclay's comm badges into the program. He's managed to do a lot without command codes. The only thing that's different is that he can stop navigation, I guess. Anyway, he manages to pull off a lot within minutes, because Barclay leaves the holodeck, goes to engineering, and within like 5 or 10 minutes,
he's like, "It's go time, guys.
Back. So
it's go
I think
time."
That line would have been great. I have been conscious and I've been awake the entire 4 years, and I've been watching you motherfuckers, and I'm ready.
I'm fucking
I have been
ready.
planning this.
He's been thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah. I love it.
Something else that I thought was sinful is Reg, aka Barclay.
Good old Reg.
He goes in and to run this diagnostic check. First of all, this is a multiple sins going on at once here. First of all, anytime the holodeck has been acting up since Moriarty should be taken very seriously. Like,
100%.
After that incident of creating an accidental life form inside that already took over the ship once. If anyone goes in, if there's any glitch at all, it should be like level 1 system check. There needs to be a massive, like, we're shutting them all down.
How did this happen? Yeah, stop playing with holodecks. Stop playing with holograms until we know they aren't fucking sentient.
Or sentient, or that Moriarty hasn't woken up. Like, that should be, they're really trusting their computer system to have, like, put this one on pause. That said,
for sure,
the sin is absolutely that little old Barclay, who went to go run a diagnostic check on the anomaly sequence or whatever, for found a protected memory sequence and just simply says, unlock sequence and run program. That's all he says. There's no security code needed to unlock Moriarty. It's just a simple little do, and then he appears.
Put it out of archive.
So it's pretty clear that no one was taking Moriarty seriously, the program seriously, his sentience seriously, which is a totally other, sin on.
That was my next sin. Yeah.
Because they obviously weren't taking him very seriously.
His program shouldn't be in the ship anymore. It should be back at Starfleet HQ. If they were serious about studying it, send that shit on a USB drive and post it off. Gone. Like, the fact that he wakes up in the holodeck, he would have been like, well, shit, why am I still here? Clearly, you're not taking this seriously.
They're like, Picard, he didn't really forget his promise. It's like hell he didn't forget. Of course he forgot. Like
he's been assimilated by the Borg since then. I'm amazed the Borg didn't turn up and say, "Hey, we want this program. We know you have it. He's fucking smart. We want to assimilate him into our collective." It is massively dickish that there is no status update just because you assume that he's unconscious. Like, you put him into a coma with the ability to wake him up, but didn't. Not for like a monthly update, a 6 monthly update, nothing. You do not respect this person as a life form.
Nope.
And that's just, they never address that, but it is 100% true. They are just happy that he isn't causing trouble anymore. They deserve everything that happens in this episode.
We're going to just be clear. It took the writers this long to figure out how to deal with it. Let's just be honest.
Yes. I probably would have bugged them. Like, we don't want Lower Decks to deal with this one. We want to fix it.
Oh, fuck, guys. Like, we made life. We made a big problem. We got to write ourselves out of this corner. And it took them a while to do it.
That's so funny.
I think if we were going to be sending the series and we send this episode after sending the first episode, we would re-send the map or the picture of the ship coming out of the holodeck again, because it's just it continues to be one that bothers me from the last episode, where they're inside the holodeck. Moriarty draws something on a piece of paper that exists inside the holodeck, and then Geordi and Data leave the holodeck with said paper not disappearing. And that becomes a really evident sin again from the first episode. So I would rescind that moment 100%.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, totally agree.
Because it came back and it was just really bugging me. Yeah.
There's another one that's really going to annoy you. We watched an episode called The Big Goodbye. And this is when we find Picard, Beverly, Data, and the 21st century historian go to the holodeck to play Dixon Hill.
Okay.
And they get kidnapped by mobsters. The historian gets shot. And do you remember this episode?
Oh, yeah. The safety protocol was busted, and so he's actually dying of a gunshot wound. Yeah. Exactly.
And then the two holograms at the end of the episode walk off the holodeck.
Yeah, they do.
And it takes them about 30 seconds to dissolve. So it's just...
Can we get some consistency here?
Consistency, please. They wanted the dramatic thing of, my legs are dissolving, you can't do this to Cyrus Redblock. Can't believe I remembered his name. Shit.
That's his real name?
Cyrus Redblock.
Okay, we need to send...
I'm sure that was his name.
Just dings in the chat of the live show for Ian, remembering that. Ding.
Shit.
I mean, for being a nerd.
Nerd. Just all of that. All of the shit is great. Have we started complimenting the show again? Bollocks. I only have one more big sin. And it's just command codes, people. It shouldn't take a sequence of words. It should take a thumbprint, a retina scan, voice recognition. Like, Data is just like, the fuck, dude? I had to do an impeccable Picard accent in order to take hold of the ship 3 years ago. Now Moriarty can do it just because he has the fucking words? Like, Picard shouldn't be worried at all. He should be like, oh, it doesn't matter that I gave him my code, because I say that shit out loud all of the time, and it doesn't matter. It should take a lot more.
It really should. It should take a lot more. Fail on you. Sins on you.
Anything else, Ambassador?
I don't know if this is actually a sin or not. So when Moriarty takes Picard takes Moriarty to 10 forward to reveal to him that he is not on a ship on the sea, but he's actually a ship in the stars. Moriarty sets him up by saying, what sea do we sail upon?
I love that so much.
I'd like to go to the top of the ship. And then he kind of cleverly goes, weather permitting, of course.
Yep.
Which was such a fun line. It's even better when you know that he already knows he's on a starship.
Yes,
they get to 10 forward. They're sitting down. They're having their conversation. And Moriarty is essentially kind of pitching to him, like, now that I exist in the real world, which he already knows he doesn't. Now that I exist in the real world, what am I going to do with myself? And he kind of begins to lay out his plot, and he's laying it on thick. He moves really quickly from, like, how am I going to educate myself to, I'm lonely already, within like 30 seconds. And I just, that
super quick.
I feel like that, maybe Picard doesn't know Moriarty very well. Maybe he's having an existential crisis immediately. All these different things. And because Moriarty even tricked him to taking to see Beverly Crusher, and Beverly's like, yeah, he's got organs and shit, guys.
Yeah.
So there's no one that takes a second, and not even Picard himself, to go, how did a computer program grow organs after walking out of a ship? Like, there's not this.
Yeah.
I feel like Picard would have many moments where he would be like, this is real. Something is wrong here.
Seeing is believing, I guess, but it shouldn't be.
But
You're
it's
right,
like he has organs, And then he says, Picard's like, well, I'll get you some books so that you can, read and you can learn. At no point he's like, oh, you were a computer program who absorbed information from the computer like 2 hours ago. So I don't know. There's a leap there that I'm glad that we make leap. Because it again it makes the reveal Picard believes, so then we the audience believe, which makes the reveal so much more sweet. But I wrote that down and I was like, oh, wait, so he has organs now? Like, how does that work? And now I know why. But the sin is still, you have this beautifully intelligent captain and a fucking android, and no one's going like, how do you have organs?
You've just said this literally defies the laws of physics, and you didn't, and in the next breath just accepted that it happened. I was like, listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth. But I can't tell if it's just like how good the holodeck is at fooling our senses and tricking us, and you always have to think critically. This is a great life lesson: is do not believe what is said to you and what is put in front of you. You
question
never know
everything.
Just question everything intelligently.
If we had like a sinner's motto, that's what it would be. Like for CinemaSins, it'd be question everything.
Totally, even the dumb stuff.
Even the dumb stuff. Even our show.
Even our own show. Like, there's going to be a podcast at some point that's nitpicking our episodes, and that's just a meta thing I'm not ready for. Anything else, Ambassador?
Yeah, I did have another thing that I thought was a little bit hard to believe, and that is, so Picard inside the simulation, before realizing that he is in a simulation, realizes that Moriarty has taken over control of the ship. At least in their little universe, he thinks he's taken over control of the ship. And he goes and he has a meeting with Moriarty, and where Moriarty basically says, I'm going to give you some time to figure this out, but not a lot. And then he comes back down to engineering, and he goes to Geordi LaForge, the fake Geordi LaForge, and says, I need you to figure out how Moriarty took control of the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, now? Like, why wasn't this the first question?
Is that not a given?
How is this an afterthought?
Is that your thumb up your ass?
Somebody has taken over your ship, and you go and have like several other conversations, and then circle back to that. I don't know.
That's a given.
I felt like Picard was a little dumb in this one.
No, I agree. I do agree. I mean, it's perfect. I'm glad they did it. Every single thing they did is so beautiful when you watch it a second time, and you know who is real and who's talking to who. And I love how polite Picard is to fake Geordi. Like, oh, just excuse us, chief engineer. And Geordi's like, okay, see you later. I've just been told I don't exist.
Yeah. He's just like, I don't know how to process that.
That's so funny.
I do have another one too. I really felt like they just skipped over the uncoupling of the Heisenberg a little bit too much for me. Like, so Picard. Picard realizes that they're in a simulation, and so he creates another simulation inside the simulation.
Correct. With a fake Riker, fake Worf, fake everybody.
And somehow that, I don't understand how that worked. I need to watch this episode a couple more times, but I feel like...
So because they're beaming Moriarty out of the holodeck to keep the ruse going, they created that holodeck inside Moriarty's holodeck. So the one when he communicates with the ship, they've tied that arch into the other program. So he's talking to a fake Riker and Geordi about uncoupling the Heisenberg compensators that Picard and Data have programmed to agree and say, yep, that's going to work, we'll beam you out. So they're using a fake transporter to beam them out, which is, he could have said anything. You need to ungoose the chickens. And the Riker would have been like, oh yeah, that'll work. Let's do that. Because it's a fake Riker that's beaming him into safety.
So if there was ever a podcast about all the technobabble, it should be called Uncoupling the Heisenberg, because it's bullshit.
100%. I think there already is. I think there's already a Heisenberg-based podcast.
That's amazing.
There.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a great episode where Riker is tricking, like, the Ferengi kidnap the Enterprise, and they say, Riker, you need to tell us how to work this ship because we haven't got a clue. And he stalls by just making up a ton of shit. And he's like, so you do know what a Heisenberg Fritzenflop is? And he's like, yeah, of course I do. But can you explain it to me? He's like, okay, here we go. And just wastes a day of their time by just explaining technobabble. It's so good. I have no other sins.
That's
I
it for
love
me
this
too.
episode.
It's a great episode.
Been a joy to watch you watch this episode and react to it. It's so good. Beautiful. With that, thank you for listening, everyone. I am going to no, I'm not. I need to tell you what episode we're watching next week. We're going to be watching The Quality of Life, which is another TNG episode and another data-centric one that has been mentioned in Lower Decks. So it'll be interesting to get the ambassador's opinion.
What's the season and episode on The Quality of Life?
Season 6, episode 9, The Quality of Life.
Okay.
So that's your homework for next week. Thank you for listening, everyone, and we will see you next week. But until then, I'm going to go above deck, weather permitting.
And I'm going to look into Transport Log 759.
Oh, nice. Live long and Podsper.
Thanks for listening. Want to connect with the show? Our hailing frequencies are always open through captainspod@cinemasins.com. Like, comment, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Did I just see the thumbnail with Moriarty? Did I just see the thumbnail with Moriarty? It went by so fast because I just clicked on it and went go. Is that Moriarty? Ian!
You may have seen a thumbnail.
Ian, was that Moriarty?
You may have seen a thumbnail. Let's watch it. Let's go. How cool would it be to live through a murder mystery like that on the holodeck?
I'm trying to listen to the show.
Sorry.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. He's on the fucking ship.
He's on the ship.
He's on the fucking ship.
I love that
Oh
so
my
much.
God, that's amazing. That's so fucking cool. I didn't expect
it's so
that.
Cool. It's rare for like something to surprise you in a show like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh fuck.
Oh fuck.
He's just gonna walk onto the ship.
Just because he thinks and therefore he is, you know?
Yeah. He exists.
Thinks and therefore the he is.
Therefore is, yeah.
He thinks this and therefore says he is. Are they all on the holodeck? Are they all on the holodeck? No fucking way!
It's so good.
Oh my God, that's so fucking cool. That's so fucking cool.
It's so cool.
Oh
It's
my
so
God,
clever.
I love this episode.
It's
Oh my
so good.
God. Oh my God, he never fucking left the holodeck. Of course. Of course. Of course he never left the holodeck. It all makes sense now. I've been so fucking confused. I've been writing down notes like, how does this work? And blah, blah, blah. And it got me. It fucking got me. It so got me. Moriarty trapped him, man. He fucking got him good.
Uh-huh. He's so clever.
Oh, it's so good. They're still on the holodeck. They're still on the They're all in a simulation. This is all a simulation.
Start the funny business now. Start it now. Start the funny
I like how it's like,
now.
we Deneé, don't be funny until the microphone is live. Like, oh.
Just put a pause on that shit. It is not being recorded. It's not.
You don't.
Yeah, it's not.
You can be funny in other ways, kinda, but it only really matters when you're recording. So stop.
Do you want to hear a really wacky Star Trek story?
Yes.
Man, if you said no, that would have sucked. Okay, I guess we do a different show today then. Because we don't talk about Star Trek at all.
I mean, last episode was entirely a crumpet episode, so we're clearly shifting to like a food podcast where food meets Star Trek.
Food Trek.
Taste Trek?
You could Taste Trek. That's great, but that might get confused with like a mountaineering show. Like we go on a hike and find different food. Yeah, if we like find food in the forests while we're trekking.
That's foraging
and stuff.
trek.
Yeah.
It's different.
Foraging trek.
I think Taste Trek is it. I don't know why you're like just not going with that fucking brilliant idea. Anyway, your story.
I did get my mum a Star Trek cookbook once, and it was based on Neelix's recipes from Voyager. And she's like, I can't make any of this. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, you're going to love this wild story. I've been waiting until we covered an episode adjacent to it, but I don't know if we ever will. So in season 1, they couldn't decide on who the chief engineer was going to be. They had multiple chief engineers. So they had this lady engineer, they had a couple of male engineers, and a few of them were named. And one episode in particular, we have seen this episode. This is in Data Lore. And it's Chief Engineer Argyle, and he has the beard. So he was helping Geordie assemble. He was helping Geordie assemble Lore. And when they're in with Beverly, he's assisting Beverly as well. I think it may have been he was assisting Beverly, not Geordie. And he's saying that we need to open up Data in order to get inside him and see how Lore works. Anyway, he's called Chief Engineer Argyle, and he suddenly disappears and we never ever see him again. The reason we never see him again is because Paramount received a ton of fan letters saying, we love Chief Engineer Argyle, we love this actor, he should be the series regular, he's brilliant. The problem is these letters came before the episode aired.
Oh my god!
So it turns out that the actor got all of his friends and family and other people to send in letters saying he's the best, we love him, please make him a series regular. But sent them way too soon.
Yeah.
So he got super duper fired because how do they know
not gonna remember to wait to send that.
Of course not. I mean, it's exactly how we promote podcasts, but it's not how you manage to get series regular on Star Trek.
Oh my god!
And he wasn't bad. He was perfectly fine. I think they didn't want another Scottish person, because they had Scotty in the original series, so we didn't want the stereotype of "Can I take any more?"
That, and they don't want to have somebody working for them that's just going to be leaking the show.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Perhaps that's so an important thing to not do. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It's one of my favorite stories. It's so funny. All the letters turn up. I was like, yeah, this is great. Amazing feedback. How have they seen the episode? So have you had a good Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
Ambassador.
Yeah, it's been very, very busy. I did something new. I've been experimenting the last couple of years with not being part of the planning as much and just...
I thought you were going to say not being part of the family. I leave for 2 weeks over Christmas. I'm just not there. I go away to the mountains for Taste Trek.
Anyways, how are you? How was your holiday? I want to know how yours was.
We watched so many movies, and we watched an episode of the original series of Star Trek. We just kind of picked one at random. And this one, this is one of the reasons we probably shouldn't watch the original series, because they hadn't, and it's one of the beauties of it as well, they hadn't put any rules in place. So the Enterprise is coming up against, they're coming into this star system and all of the life has been wiped out of it and they haven't got a clue why. And suddenly they get hit with this massive energy beam. And Spock, bless him, says, "Captain, that hit us with the power of 90 photon torpedoes."
Oh,
wait, what? 90 photon torpedoes. And then Scotty comes in and says, yeah, our shields are down to 20%. Wait, what? How did they not blow you out of space? How weak are your torpedoes? Or, how strong are your shields? 90 torpedoes. That's insane.
That instantly makes all of the torpedo scenes seem less impactful.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's incoming torpedo. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter.
That's
90 of them. And it gets better because I was like, right, okay, so there's 20% of the shields left. That means you can take another one of these hits and then you're pretty much going to be out of action. But that's wild anyway. Spock chirps back in and says, we can take 3 more hits like that and then we're in trouble. I was like, whoa, what? That doesn't even work as internal math, let alone whatever torpedo rules you're bullshitting now. How does that make any sense?
You're watching this with your family on the holidays, and Are you guys pausing it and having this conversation?
Yeah, me and Dad looked at each other, and we were just like, "Wait a minute!" It is a long time since either of us have seen this episode, and we're just like, "Huh? Yeah. That's weird." Huh. And then Kirk is like, "Can we outrun it?" And Sulu says, it's Sulu or Scotty, one of them says, the weapon is coming at us at a speed of warp 15. I was like, what? What do you mean, Warp 15? No! Warp 15 doesn't exist. That's not a thing. And weapons can't travel that fast. What? We haven't even got to the cold open yet, and the Star Trek rulebook has just been thrown out the window. It's just, fuck that shit. Warp 15, shields don't matter, the hull is stronger than the shields. It's fine. This is great. It's just insane.
Did you ever have that thing happen to you in school where, someone was like, your epidermis is showing?
Oh, that just means skin, because
right,
being a smart
when you're young enough, you don't know what epidermis means, and so you're like, it is, and you're just like kind of embarrassed, and you don't know why. Did you ever have someone do that to you?
Look down to your... No, I never had that one. What we did have was, you appear to be masticating very loudly. Mm-hmm. And our science teacher knew exactly what he was doing when he taught us what mastication meant instead of masturbation. Yes, so masticating was the word of the day at school quite often.
The more you know. I'm trying to fucking drink my coffee. Hold on.
Hey, your epidermis is showing. Deal with that first.
I have this new mug. As you can see, I'm struggling. It's open, but I can't get a flow of coffee, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just, I don't know. I'm.
Are you worried that you're going to get too much flow?
What's the liquid version of mastication? Because that's what I'm struggling with. That's what I'm having. I can chew just fine, but apparently drinking is a problem.
If you have to masticate your liquids, there's something wrong with them. Probably too solid.
That's why I said. That's why I said what's the liquid version of mastication? I didn't say.
It's just drinking.
Oh my gosh. I want to try to mimic your voice, and it's hard. I can't get your accent down very well. Someday.
I do have a very generic, odd accent. Not from where people think I'm from.
He's not from where people think he's from.
No, also not from.
I can't do that.
As wherever as posh as Deneé's. You'd be the one boxing up the presents.
My accent's ridiculously posh.
It's really posh. You'd be boxing up all of the presents for all of the servants that
That's exactly right. I've given them all the day off today. Sci-fi.
You actually sound like Vexolia from Critical Role.
Thank you so much. I don't know what you're talking about, but that's me. That odd moment when Deneé's English accent makes Ian sound like he's faking it.
It does. It genuinely does. It sounds like I'm putting it on because yours is so authentic and convincing. I sound like
but mine's not authentic. I didn't realize it was so posh until I met you, and you told me that if I had an accent like that, where I would be from in England, we wouldn't even be friends.
No, I would want to be friends with you, but our social circles would have never overlapped.
I don't.
It's wild.
I've been pretending to have this accent since I was 6. I heard it on TV, and I've been working on it. It's not great. It's not the best accent, but I can fake it. And what was really awkward was when I met Ian's family. They wanted me to keep talking in this accent, which I can do for my Dungeons and Dragons campaign because I gave one of my characters, as the DM, I gave one of my characters this accent, and I could talk like that in my game, but put me on the spot where I'm completely surrounded by English people, and it was very uncomfortable. And then I do another character called Bowl of Noodles, which is a slightly different take on my version of an English accent, and they all wanted me to do that a couple times too, and I was really shy, which was so weird. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do the bowl of noodles.
And then my mum did it.
She did.
She was like, I've got something in the bin. It's a little bowl of noodles.
I'm just the smallest little bowl of noodles, and somebody threw me in the bin, and I'm all alone.
Just because you don't watch the show live with us, you can always send your questions in to us. We have captainspod@cinemasins.com is our email. You can also send in your tweets to @captainspodcs on Twitter. So please don't think that you're not a part of the show. If there's something that you want us to address or ask, you can always send it in and we can put it into the show in the future.
Mail it in. Fax it to us.
Yeah, fax it. Sci-Fi Brony says, can we get a Doctor Who show?
Oh, get it. Yes. That would, I'd say it would be me and Dicer, but Aaron has seen all of New Who. So it would be me getting Aaron into old Doctor Who, probably. I would love to do a Doctor Who show. I really would.
Don't start with Blink, Ian. That's how I made sure my girls are scared of Doctor Who.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, That's a terrifying episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Blink is an episode. So these statues chase after you, but you have to stare at them, and they can only move when they're not being looked at. And that's just a terrifying concept. Jeez. So as soon as you turn your back on them, they're on you.
That sounds like the Mario in those little ghost castles where if you face the ghost, they stop, and then if you turn away, they come towards you.
Yeah, it's exactly the same concept, and it's the freaking scariest thing.
Rando says, Blink scared me even though I watched it in the afternoon in broad daylight.
Hell yeah.
Should I watch that episode? I'm oddly intrigued now. And I don't usually enjoy scary ones. So maybe,
yeah,
but I don't
know that it would scare you, but it's a good episode. It's a great place to start.
Here's one from Eights from earlier in the show. I think, Ian, you pinned this one. New York City person fact. We all get a set time once in our life to have to stare at the Statue of Liberty just so she doesn't move.
This is referring back to Blink because the aliens in Blink, they look like statues and they're angels. They're like angely gargoyle things and they kind of look like the Statue of Liberty. So yeah, it's like jury service. Each person has to stare at the Statue of Liberty so that it doesn't move.
Oh, that's funny.
I like that.
I kind of love that. I love that. I wonder which has more episodes, Star Trek or Doctor Who? Well, we could look it up. I'm guessing Star Trek.
I can tell you now it's Star Trek.
Because it's been on longer, yeah?
So Doctor Who cheats a little bit because its adventures were split into 4 episodes and they were like 20 minutes long. But I think even if you included episodes, Star Trek would still outnumber Doctor Who.
So Google claims that there have been 869 episodes of Star Trek. Thank you for looking that up, Steve, not Reeves. And then also Slab says, as of the 23rd of October, 2022, 871 episodes of Doctor Who have aired, concluding the 13th series. This includes 1 television movie and multiple specials and encompasses 300 stories over 39 seasons, starting in 1963, says Bing.
Bing. So it's a 300 stories thing that is crucial because each story is about an hour long, which equates roughly to an episode of Star Trek. So in terms of like length, Star Trek definitely beats out Doctor Who.
Here's one from JCD. Fun Star Trek fact. Enterprise is the only one from at least the first 5 series that had its entire bridge cast stay on. Like on for the next season? Wow.
Yeah, throughout. And I think JCD is being a bit... No, you're right. Because Chekhov doesn't appear until season 2. And technically, they changed the entire bridge crew other than Spock from the pilot. So yeah, I guess that's right. Voyager? Oh, I guess Voyager, the first officer, dies in the first episode. So I guess that's true. Deep Space Nine. Yeah, no,
Audience,
that's true.
Please stand by while Ian decides whether or not someone's right or not.
Confirmed. You are right.
It's funny.
Discovery, I would argue, because they changed ships, but I guess they have some. Yeah, okay. I'll let you have that, JCD.
I'll let you have it, he says, even though you did your research, JCD. Ian, the captain, is very possessive of factual information, apparently. Here's one from Link. Ian, how is your wild RP character coming along?
Should I? So for those who I think everybody in the chat should have at least known of wild RP and knows how embedded Deneé is in that beautiful universe, I will be joining at some point in the new year with Victor as well once I sort out some demanding PC issues. The computer core needs an upgrade. Shall I give them the name of my wild RP character?
Of course, if they want to know. I mean, I think everybody wants to know. If you've got it all figured out and you want to share it, you should super share it.
So I'm not convinced I'll be streaming this character, but you might see him pop up on Deneé's stream. It is an English teacher called George Francis George Weatherbottom. Just usually goes by Mr. Weatherbottom or George. And yeah, I'm still discovering him, finding his voice and figuring out why. I know why he's in the universe, just figuring out what his goals are and how he's going to interact with it. But yeah, his goal is to go to the Wild West and bring literature and culture to these heathen Americans that have left the colonies and are currently living in deserty Sin. I can't wait to show him.
Imagine an English teacher meeting Babs. I just want to say it's potentially going to be delightful. Let's see. I did like this comment from Sci-Fi Brony, who says this is one of the least self-contained episodes through the series, and I think that you're right.
No, you're right.
It's so good.
You're right.
I like that comment.
I think they do a good job of getting you in there, but yeah, it does benefit from having knowledge, definitely.
This message was from Slab during the show. It says, would take them years. This is about Moriarty and his lovely countess. It would take them years to reach a planet anyway in that shuttle. Computer just needs to simulate empty space until they die of old age.
That's so dark. The shuttle does have warp drive. It is a warp-capable shuttle.
Is it?
But yeah, of course. Yeah, some of them are. So yeah, no, that would be super dark. Just like, hey, suffer. Spend the next decades in space.
Okay, this one was from Slab also. It said, combo episode, Recotopia plus Captain's Pod equals First Contact.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do the best TNG movie.
Man, that'd be
Let's
really fun. We should
go.
ask him if we can do a crossover episode. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe the same episode on both platforms, and that way...
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
That would be really fun.
Link asks this. Who is the best villain in Star Trek, in your opinion?
Maybe Moriarty. Like, it could be... As a species, it's the Borg, for me. Or the Romulans. I don't know, like... there's a great Romulan captain, Tomalok, but he's a little bit mustache twirly. He's a little bit obviously villainous. Moriarty is just super. I like intelligent villains. I really do. I think he is my favorite. That or Q, because Q is intelligent but lazy, and that's a dangerous combination.
I think it's Lore for me, because he scares the shit out of me, and I think a villain needs to scare you more. There's something about Moriarty that is also scary. Both of them are computer programs. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah. We've created them. Mm-hmm. It's terrifying.
I wonder if Ian would know this. When did humanity first meet the Andorians?
Well, we haven't yet, because the Andorians aren't real, JCD. We live in 2023 and it hasn't.
Great. Barclay, says Sci-Fi Boney, has very clearly has anxiety. And this was so important to me in realizing a few years ago that I myself have anxiety. Oh, that's a really interesting character trait I did not know.
Oh, so it doesn't really come up in this episode too much because it's season 6. He's had a bit more development, but his initial thing was he is competent but paralyzed with anxiety. And they
That's so
initially
fascinating. I love that.
They initially assume that he's lazy, but it's not. He just avoids conflict. He doesn't apply himself because he's terrified.
Oh, that's such a great personality trait to have on display.
It's so great, and I have a very similar story as well.
Kind of
helped me
relatable.
realize that you can have a use and a purpose, even though you're not as outgoing and forward as some people are. So yeah, Barclay is super important for representation.
I did not realize that. I'm glad you said that, Sci-Fi Brony. Thank you for that comment. Any kind of like character insight is really interesting to me because I lack a lot of the context that a lot of Trek fans have from, obviously watching the material a lot. So I like that. Thank you for bringing that up.
This was an interesting one from Link. I wonder if it would even work if they tried to do it again with the same line, or would it produce a different result? So this is trying to recreate Moriarty. So was it just like a set of fluke circumstances, or can you just speak that line and it all happens again? So I love that thought. I don't know. Obviously it did because we get the Countess, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it wouldn't. Maybe it would need those certain circumstances for it to happen. They know so little about how it happened. It's a good point. Question from Slab. What colour uniform are you wearing on the Enterprise D? Gold, blue or red? Red. In the command division? Yeah.
I'm going to go blue.
Nice. In the sciences.
I'm going to go into
medicine.
Sciences and medicine. Yeah.
Love it.
I will murder my opponents. Wait, no.
Wait, no.
Nope.
No.
Me?
It's the opposite.
Me as a villain.
Oh my goodness. What do you mean, you as a villain? You are the villain.
Exactly.
From Slab. Ian, I'm one to admit when you're right. They left on a Type 7 shuttle, which is warp capable. I bow to your superior intellect. Thank you. I'm not going to pretend I knew that was a Type 7 shuttle, but I did know it was a warp capable shuttle. So yes, I love that you Googled it and was going to say, no, it's actually a Type 2 shuttle. They're not warp capable. And I would have had to bow to your intellect, sir. On this day, we gambled and I won. But next time, it could be you. Captain's Pod, Stardate 612262.1. Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take...
Yeah.
Welcome aboard the Starship's Enterprise, and thank you for joining us as we take a brief shore leaf from... Take a shore leaf out of my book.
Shore leaves. They come from the tree right on the beach.
Yeah.
Palm fronds. Sorry.